Our last guest for this year, who regaled us with a magnificent performance in what has got to be, in my mind anyways, one of the best damn television series that's ever been done. You know, it's just so magical when the universe just lets you have a confluence of that rare talent, beautiful scripts, magnificent sets and effects, and out comes this thing that, you know, anybody who didn't watch it. Hell, Brad Paisley, the country singer, shortchanged his people. He cut off the encores so he could catch Battlestar Galactica. He said it in an interview. He says, I feel sorry for all the people that came to my concerts because they really got shortchanged. One song encore, and then it was like, get the trailer to turn on the satellite, get Battlestar Galactica. He's a major fan. So it's like, you know, for a science fiction series to cross into that genre, in that realm, you've got to be good. And so, without further ado, please welcome Colonel SAUL, TIGH, the magnificent Mr. Michael Hogan. Testing. If you were here yesterday, you know I'm not very good at microphones. But I should get used to it, so. Could we have the house lights up just a little bit so I can see who I'm talking to? Brad Paisley, the country singer, is a friend of Aaron Douglas's, and he's come up to set a few times. And Aaron has got some great stories of hanging out with that guy. You know, people, I'll just talk a bit for you questions because there's some that are constantly asked, so I might as well get them out of the way. One that I get asked is, has Battlestar Galactica changed my life? Well, initially I said no, there's no way, I'm still a journeyman actor. But really, of course it's changed my life immensely, if not completely. I'm in the twilight of my career, so I've been down an awful lot of roads. But the world that Battlestar has opened up to me. I was thinking last night, I don't know if any of you were out there, I was outside the front lobby and someone said, did you know that the International Space Station is coming overhead and we're going to be able to see it in about 3 minutes? No? Wow. So when, sure enough, as clear as could be, saw this International Space Station go across the sky. And one day, on Battlestar Galactica, we're shooting in the Damas quarters, and Eddie and I are doing a scene. I looked off behind the camera, and Ron Moore is standing there. And I thought, that's odd, Ron Moore's not supposed to be in Canada right now. So Cut and I went off the set and said, Moore, what's happening? What are you doing here, man? And he said, I'd like to introduce you to Garrett Reisman. Garrett Reisman, the man that was standing with him, had just come down from 94 days on the International Space Station. And he, so it was freaky last night, look at this. So we talked, and he told me about watching Battlestar Galactica while in orbit. They taped the monitor, they had to tether the monitor to his wrist, of course, because they're weightless. And watched it while he was looking at the Earth below, and it was sent chills on my spine listening to him talk. So then, of course, I had to go back to shoot, and I didn't get enough time to talk to him. So a few months later, I got his contact information from Ron Moore, and I emailed him, and I subjected it, fan letter from the XO. I said, my name's Michael Hogan, I don't know if you remember me, Battlestar Galactica, and I said, I don't know if your ears have been burning recently, but in doing press, 5 years of doing Battlestar Galactica, and one of the high points was your visit to the set. And he emailed me back and said, isn't that a coincidence, 12 years of being an astronaut, and the high point of my career was the visit to Battlestar Galactica. And he said, but actually the spacewalk is above that, but please don't tell Ron Moore I said that. But in the periodic emails we exchanged, he said
it would be great if I ever got to Houston. He'd love to give me the astronauts tour of the Johnson Space Center. And I ended up doing a convention in Dallas and emailed him and said, "Do these dates work for the visit to the Space Center?" He said, "Yes." And I emailed him and asked him if, what's the drive like from Dallas to Houston? Because I'm going to have to rent a car and go down. And he said it's boring, but he might, and it's long, but he might be able to break it up for me. What ended up happening was I flew to Dallas. And he said in the email, he said, I might be able to break this up, or I might be able to pick you up in my small plane, if you don't mind flying in the small airplanes. Of course, I love flying in anything, especially small airplanes. And there's some of this I shouldn't tell. He picked me up at the Dallas airport in a Grumman Tiger. Google it if you don't know what that plane looks like. And flew me. And he's a certified flight instructor, so I flew. He took off, but I flew the plane from Dallas right through downtown Houston and landed at the NASA air strip there. And he had to land because there were extreme crosswinds when we were landing. And then, of course, I got out of the plane, and when I knew that I was going down, I researched as much as I could about this Space Center and the whole space program. So it was amazing to get out of the plane there and with an astronaut. And go into all these fighter planes and walk around. And I got this amazing tour of the Space Center. I went when we were emailing back and forth, he said, when I first said I was coming down, he said, "Now, would it be all right if some people from NASA and a couple of astronauts wanted to have dinner while I was down there? Would I like to keep a low profile?" And I said, "No, I'll have dinner. That'd be fine." And he came back and he said, "Okay, this is getting a little more complicated." He said, some of his friends who are astronauts have won a free ribs or wings and beer night at Hooters NASA. Would I mind? And by the way, did I mention that you are going to be flying the shuttle space simulator along with Ken Ham, who's a fighter pilot? Did I mention this? And so I emailed back and said, "You know, drinking with you and your astronaut buddies at Hooters NASA is just, I'm extremely comfortable with that. But flying the shuttle simulator, is it possible to go to Hooters NASA before I'm But I had the most amazing time there. I kept thinking, is this really happening? That I'm hanging out with these astronauts. I'm at the Johnson Space Center. I'm actually flying this motion simulator, which is so much like the Battlestar Galactica, because the shuttle was built when it was built, and they don't have enough money to scrap it and rebuild something. So the computer gauges, they're mostly steam gauges, but any place they put computers, they're mocked the steam gauges. All the switches, everything is, you can see why they like the Battlestar Galactica. It's almost like they got cork phones on it. And I went into the mission control center, and of course everyone there knew me, which was spooky. This is NASA, man. I'm in mission control. And up on the huge monitors is the space station. That's a live feed that we're looking at. And they took me into the Apollo Mission Control Center, which is the Apollo Mission Control, and I got to sit in those chairs and look at those various screens that all that history happened at. And I just thought, I mean, as Battlestar Galactica changed my life, well, I could go on and on. I mean, that's going to side level. So, blah, 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 blah. We knew he was going to talk. We didn't know he was going to talk that much. So why don't we go to some questions, or this will be over, and you go, I didn't want to know that.
Michael, on behalf